Good morning, Year 9. Today I wanted to tell you all about the history checkpoints. Hope you recognize this picture from the Berlin Wall that we all saw. A lot of you actually have your own photographs of it at home. I thought it'd be a nice introduction because your main checkpoint is all about the Cold War. Okay, I want you to go over to your classroom. If you go into classwork, you will see I have added a new section called checkpoints. It's the second section right underneath the book. Click on that. You'll see you have your history checkpoint test. It will tell you all about it. Let's open that up so you guys can take a look a little just on it. There are 4 chapters that are going to be on that test. Why did international peace collapse in 1939? Who is to blame for the Cold War? How successful did the U.S. contain the spread of communism? And how secure was the USSR's hold on Eastern Europe? Of those 4 questions, I will have 1 question from each chapter, and you will pick 2. The test will be 90 minutes. These documents below will help you answer the questions, so I'm going to show you what we have here. So here we've got the question paper. This is exactly what one looks like. So yours will look like this. You'll have your 5 questions here. Then you have a mark scheme. Please note when I showed you that test, it was questions 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you scroll down to 5, 6, 7, 8, you'll see your answers. Here's a chapter 1, so we'll skip that chapter 1 question. Here is chapter 3. Since chapter 3 could possibly be on our test, we'll look at that. There's a question, an A question, and you need to give 4 points for an A question because it's worth 4 points. Please make sure the points are longer and not too short. If you say something, he built his army back up, that's not going to get quite as many points as he announced his army would be 500,000. B question. Why was the involvement of the Spanish Civil War beneficial to Hitler? Okay? If we look on the bottom, if you just list things, you get 2 to 3 points. If you give me 1 paragraph with lots of details, you can get between 4 to 5. Sometimes you think you wrote a paragraph, but all you really wrote isn't identify or describe something. You have to explain why, not just describe what happened. Okay? The better your explanation, the more points you get. When you give me 2 paragraphs, which is what I'm always asking for, 2 good explained paragraphs, you can get up to 6 points. And our C question, our argumentation question. Chamberlain's attempt to reach agreement at Munich were worthwhile. How far do you agree with this statement? Explain your answer. So we'll go look down to the bottom. If it's just very generic, they'll give you 1 pity point. Okay? If you just list things, Chamberlain was trying to keep peace, Chamberlain did not think Britain was prepared for war, you get up to 3 points. 1 check, 1 point per thing that you identify or describe. Okay? Then let's go into the paragraphs. Your level 3 is either one-sided or 1 explanation on each side. Okay? An example of a paragraph. The paragraphs here are very similar or the same as the paragraph here. You P it. Point, evidence, explain. Tell me what your point is. Give me the evidence that you have, so the facts that you have, and then explain what you mean by it. If you do not do that and you just describe, no matter how long you write, you cannot get more than 3 points. You have to explain how to do it. Okay? So if you either give me one-sided, so if you give me 5 paragraphs on one side only, the maximum you can get is 6. If you only give me 1 explanation on both sides, maximum you can get is 6. Okay? To get that higher, you need 2 paragraphs on one side and 1 paragraph on the other. If you have a very weak one, but you still have arguments and actual explanations, you will get a total of 7 for weak ones. Okay? If your paragraphs are good, they'll be 7, 8, or 9. And explaining how far, in other words, really explaining why you agree, going a little bit above and beyond, that will give you 10 points. Okay, so that is your test and how it's graded. I wanted to show you some more things that I've added here. How to answer the history question. This is those middle sections from your book. It basically explains what I just said. Here's your A question. This is with a chapter 1 question, your B question, your C question. Now this is lovely because it also has an example. Let's see, here's the Truman Doctrine. This is chapter 7, you don't know it. Truman Doctrine, chapter 4. The USA was more responsible than the USSR in causing the Cold War in the late 1940s. How far do you agree with this? This is also a chapter 4 question. Here's another example. Here's more examples. Chapter 1. Bay of Pigs, Khrushchev, Cuba. So this is chapter 5. So please take a look at that. You can look at that in your book. You don't have to look here. This is the thing I wrote for you guys, how to answer the questions. It basically sums up what I just said. Don't forget to write a T-chart. A T-chart is very important to make sure that you have both sides. You do not get extra points for it, but I find when people do not write a T-chart, they score very low. And finally, here is someone else who has explained how to write it in different words. Okay, so you have 4 different ways to make sure you understand how to write the question. You can listen to this video again. You can read from the book. You can read the document that I answered, or you can read someone else's words on how they say it. So please go over and over that if you have any questions on how to answer the test. Okay, that's all for the History Checkpoint test. And if you have any questions, please let me know.